Okay, so this episode we are talking to Mr. Alex Ross, who is proprietor extraordinaire of Sharkwerks, the San Francisco-based Porsche tuners. I'm sure Sharkwerks needs little introduction to you at home, but we're going to be chatting to Alex about how the company was formed, indeed how we got into Porsches to begin with, and what is the secret ingredient really to what makes a Sharkwerks car. Joining Alex and I on the interview today is Joe.
Hello.
Andy's at home still self-isolating, so best wishes to you, buddy. We hope you're all good. Let's dive in, shall we? Let's get Alex on the phone.
Hello.
Alex, how you doing?
All right. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, I'm really good. It's nice to chat to you again, buddy.
Yeah. You too, man. You too. Crazy times.
Crazy times right now, indeed. That's why we appreciate you and your time more than ever. We are joined by my friend Joe Williams.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
All right, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Like you say, we do really appreciate your time. Alex, it goes without saying.
I've got lots of.
Yeah, haven't we all at the moment? So Alex, I mean, you know my thoughts on the cars that you guys at Sharkwerks create. It's really difficult when I describe Sharkwerks cars to not slip into absolute fanboy mode, but they really are that good. So first of all, absolutely congratulations on the awesome machines you build.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, it's really James and some of the partners that make it that way, but I'm just the ugly face that talks about it.
No, that's cracking. Well, that's the other thing as well that not a lot of people may know about Sharkwerks is that it's an incredibly small team, isn't it? It's 3 to 4 of you doing the hard work that creates such an awesome brand.
Just a small, sort of family style run, boutique or whatever. We all muck in and do lots of stuff together, and we rely on good partners. But we don't build a ton of cars, but the ones we do, we focus on, and we focus on the stuff that we really, really like, which is obviously the 997s and GT4s and 964s, things like that.
Yeah. And I know your thoughts on the really new stuff compared to, like you say, the 996, 997 era particularly, and the aircraft that you guys are exploiting. We'll talk about that a bit later. But, I mean, for those that don't know, what is the Sharkwerks story and also your story?
Oh, it's a long one, but it starts in London. So it starts closer to home for you guys. The name came from, just on the football pitch, there were too many Alexes, and I was always reading about sharks on the bus on the way home, instead of doing my homework. So it was easier just to say Sharky's ball, call it out that way.
Well, chopping people down then, by the sounds of it, Chopper Harris style.
Elbowing people in the face, things like that. We didn't really have much in the way of yellow and red cards then. So that nickname stuck with me, and at university I started a website in the early .com days, and then in the mid 90s, and it was for video games and PC hardware that really I was writing about, and I was putting it all together and making it go faster than it should, so overclocking, if you will, and getting better performance out of it. So for whatever reason, that was my hobby at the time. I loved cars, and I'd always loved Porsches, but I didn't own one. And I'd walk past them at on the way to school, in Sloane Square or wherever, and see tons of them. And I always liked the 930. I wasn't a big fan of the 928, but I did like the 930. So any 911. No. Lots of people like 928s. Nothing wrong with them. And they're, funnily enough, they're called. Their nickname is the Shark, so I should have liked them more than I did. And then, because of success for that website, I sold it in 2000, in actually December of 99. And I bought a few toys as a result of selling that company, and one of which was a 996 Turbo, which actually Dan, who now, who's worked with us for almost since the beginning, since I think 2008, he was there with me, and he was into modifying PCs and also cars. And so we became friendly, and I started drag racing that thing, and I had too much time on my hands, and I did some track work as well with turns. And so I was just doing stuff on my garage, but I noticed very early on when I took the computer out, it has an AMD flash chip, which is what we used in, BIOS chips on motherboards with computers. And so, I kind of researched it a little bit to see who was, overclocking those, meaning, more boost timing. And it wasn't very advanced at the time. But, I started, emailing and meeting with people in different areas of California and trying to, get more performance out of my car. And around 2004, James was working at a shop. I think it was 2003, actually. He was working at a shop, funnily enough, that was known for 928s. And
talking of them.
And yeah, I know. They're always there lurking, broken. And I took my car there with a bunch of other people because there weren't many shops in the Bay Area. Because I think my wife was getting sick and tired of me doing stuff in my garage at home with friends and other car people who wanted to sort of mimic what I had done with mine, and go faster at the track or whatever. But so I took my toys up there, and I befriended James, and I liked the way he just sort of had no fear in terms of, just taking things apart. He's just one of those, you meet someone that's brilliant and they know what they're doing without even having done it before. And, we just started pulling things apart and working on it. And pretty soon I was like, well, he knows way more than I do. So I'm just going to put my trust in him as to what I want to do. And, we got it to the point where, it was like the first 996 turbo at the time to run 10s, at least in the US that we know of. Which was, a big deal if you were drag racing back then.
Yeah,
I think
which was a really stupid.
A 10-second car is a quick car, isn't it? I mean, that's,
Now I think a Camry does that basically, but no, not really. But back, but it was still a stupid thing to do with a 911 turbo, but it was a way to eke out more performance. And so we did a few shootouts together where we didn't really have a shop, but we entered two of my friends' cars into. Like I think at the time, what was it? Was it European Car or Excellence magazine? And one of them won the circuit part and came, and the other one came second. And so we figured out we were okay at tweaking with these things, and we continued to learn. And then in 05, I asked James if he'd want to sort of stop working on those cars. And, if we just wanted to do our own thing on 996s. And that's how we got started.
Super organic way to start a business, isn't it, really? You do your car, then your friend's car, and then before you know it, it's that good and that popular.
And to be honest, that's where the Shark thing, it was right. It was going to be, boring auto works, or we'll just do Sharkwerks. It's always been good to me because the website that I sold had the name Shark in it, or Sharky. So I was like, it's been good to me. We'll use that. But then the first few calls that we got, of course, were as soon as you mention that word with any kind of, Porsche and Shark, the first calls you get are 928 owners because they're pretty hard to work on. So we're like, sorry, we don't work on those. So they're pretty hard. And I don't want to sound down on 928s. They're fun and they're, brilliant in a different way, but, and I'm not going to call them a German Camaro.
They've got their place.
The other people do. I don't call them that. I even owned one. So before anyone hates on me, I owned one. So they're very difficult to work on.
Was it? I'm just interested. Back in 2004, was it a bit daunting pulling apart, a turbo back then? Because that would have been a pretty new bit of kit.
It was a brand new car, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, I think it was probably 2003 or late 2002. We were getting my car ready for like another one of those magazine contests, and I was sitting in the garage, I didn't have a lift, So, on the floor with my wife, I've got to find that picture somewhere. And she's helping me pull the intercoolers off so that I can install and run, like some nitrous lines to spray the intercoolers with. It probably didn't really make any difference, but it sounded good at the time. I think it's similar to what Porsche actually does on their 991 GT2 RS these days. It's actually very similar to that. But theirs is a much better system, trust me, than what I was using back then. Mine was a manual, open the bottle and hope for the best. Spray where it goes.
Still ahead of the curve there, though. That's quite impressive.
Yeah. It probably went into the intake mostly.
I'm sure it worked.
Yeah. So no, but it was. There were no manuals available. There were no, I guess, pathways that been set before. So you just, you play with Lego as a kid, or Hornby train sets, or Scalextrics, and those are all the things I played with, and just started taking stuff apart. And I realized I was in way over my head. And luckily, somehow, I could have bumped into someone that thought they knew as much as James, or they actually did know as much as James. And James just kind of figures it out as he goes along. And, he's been tearing apart his dad's cars since, he was like 5, apparently. So I think there's lots of stories of him from his mom. James doesn't share them too much, but where, his dad will come home or would come home and, there's a 5-6-year-old James has taken the dash apart in his Austin Marino or something, so he's not afraid, let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, that intuition, it paid off, didn't it, a few years down the line with the 4.1 RS that you guys have done, which we'll come to, and we'll that car on its own deserves so much time and detail. But you guys there were finding out things about that engine long before Porsche's own recall notices, wasn't it, on its own 4-litre at the time. So
well, I mean, we pushed it in ways, and that was the thing too, even with the 996 turbo. I mean, whatever car we've owned, we've pushed to, just honestly, to breaking point and broken them. And then, we'll look back and go, okay, well, we did this, and this, and we pushed it this way. How can we strengthen or prevent this from blowing up again? Because, it's not fun when it does.
So, have there been in any big destinations where them gone off really badly?
After a couple of years of running it, then, and if someone's crazy enough to say, hey, I want what you have, then, if it's lasted and worked well enough and to the point where, nothing's breaking, then, well, that was our motto at the beginning. Then, maybe we'll do it for a friend. And then it obviously went further than that.
And snowballs, yeah. Well, so you've started on 996 turbos then. You are renowned for your Rennsports, which, I mean, it's essentially the same engine, isn't it, in Metzger?
But
it's a different crowd, is it not?
It is. It is. And to be honest, that crowd, I had the opportunity to get a 996 GT3 pretty early on. I think it was around 06, or 05. I think it was 05, 05. So it was an 04 GT3. And I really missed the boat when I drove it. It just sounded like a rattly, weird, like stuff was broken, and I just didn't get it at the time. So I missed about a year of it, in that sense. And then finally, it was actually Ralph that he had the first or second, I believe, GT3 delivered in California.
Oh, wow.
So in like late 2006.
Yeah.
And he came from the 930 world, and he had a 997 that we'd done some stuff to, a Carrera. He's like, you have to drive this. It's incredible. I was like, all right, I'll go drive it. And, as soon as I drove it, heard it, felt it, I went round the block like twice, and I don't think I went over 5,000 even, because it was still being broken in. But I was like, these are the cars we need to be working on. And I remember when we, straight away, I called my dealer and I'm like, I need they had rumors about an RS, and I was like, I want to get one of those. What do I need to do? And, we ordered one, put an order in for a green one. And, I remember hearing or reading rumors, probably in Total 911 at the time.
Well played.
Yeah, it probably was. It probably was. But I remember reading like, oh, it's going to have a 3.8 motor and this and that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And then finally, when the specs were kind of solidified a few months later, so I turned to James and said, hey, they said they're not going to release a 3.8 for an RS. We've already done that on the turbo cars we build, because we were building 3.8 liter turbo cars by then. And, with 800 horsepower and all kinds of silliness. And I said, can't we just make a 3.8 out of that? And he's like, yeah, should be easier. There's no turbos on there, basically. He's like, okay. So that's what we started planning before we got the car, that we were just going to, at the time, nobody was, taking apart, a brand new GT3 or RS, especially. Definitely not. But it was ours. So we were like, yeah, let's just make it a 3.8 because the factory said they were going to do that, or the rumors were. So that's what we did. And we sort of, we didn't do cams, or we didn't change the cams, and we did some other little things here and there to try and get more power out of it. And I think we had the car for 2 weeks, and then we'd already had the parts all ready. And we fired it up and it ran great. We got it tuned with our friend Todd, Evom's IT. We got more power out of it, more response, but it wasn't as exciting as I'd hoped.
Really? Okay.
So, it was an improvement, but marginal. So then, turned to James and it's like, well, can we do a little more here? Mm-hmm. James is like, yeah, we should change this, and this, including cams and, even more displacement, higher compression. And then we really, did a round 2 of it, but we never sold the 3.8, and we let people drive it and they liked it. But, after that, it was, we can do more. So we were a little, with that engine, we were definitely more cautious than we were with the turbos, because with turbos, you just slap on bigger turbos and blow shit up, right? We didn't really want to blow this one up. So yeah.
So that car was affectionately known as Kermit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was the real trailblazer for your company at the time, wasn't it? And what you guys do.
Yeah. Well, we found a really cheap 996 in 1999, which had an LSD. It had, the throttle cable, so no e-gas.
Yeah.
It was a glacier white, so it's kind of a cool color. And we stripped it out. We built what we thought was a track car, if you will, with motons and bigger brakes and better suspension, other suspension links, and a lightweight flywheel. So all kinds of things that we do to every car now, we were doing back then, so lightweight flywheel. Yeah. Light everywhere. And we chopped up the fenders and put some fenders on it and wider wheels. So it looked a bit scary and kind of like a cup car. And those were the things that we were doing, then for our own stuff. So yeah, when it came to Kermit, we pretty much, started with a much better platform, if you will. Like the Metzger engine's obviously, a lot more race proven. It can be pushed, it can be tugged at, whereas the one in the 996, after we got that green car, we were like, oh, I think we'll just bypass working on improving that engine. So, and probably, not to say, well, James doesn't trust that engine too much, the M96.
I don't think he's alone there.
No, and he didn't then. But funnily enough, that car somebody bought it and ran it as a track car for like 10 years. So, and I believe Magnus probably 2 years ago sent me like some Craigslist ad for it for sale for like 48 grand or something, or 39 grand. I forget. I was like, damn it, that was my car. So yeah. But yeah, we changed tune though, going to GT3s from turbos. And it's not that we don't do turbos anymore. It's just that, there's a sweet spot for those. I like cars that you can, get in, drive. If you want to go to the track, that's fine. If you want to go to dinner, you can. And once you go beyond 700 horsepower, you start having terrible clutches, not very drivable cars. And so, there's sweet spots to the turbo cars, I think, and at least as far as being able to rely on them every day. So going to GT3s was just more visceral, fun, and electric, I'd say.
Well, I think with you guys as well, you enjoy what you do, and I think that is a crucial aspect to your business. And actually, from what I've seen of like other brands, if you like, that's not always a kind of prevalent. So you guys I know you're all petrol heads. So it is about working with a product that you enjoy, and I just find it fascinating that you guys take a product that is pretty good out of the box, it has to be said, and just making it kind of just so much better, really.
Well, I think I once said in some video, like you'd have to be a moron to modify a Metzger GT3 engine, and that's where we come in. So,
You're very good.
I think that's what I said once. But it's same still stands, because it's taking what I feel was the very best, and you probably shouldn't modify it, and you shouldn't try to make it better. Define better. It's not that Porsche couldn't make it better, because they already made an amazing product, and they certainly can make it better. It's just, we chose to spend more money on and get parts that are, be way less feasible for them to manufacture and do in
on a mass scale, isn't it?
Yeah. And, so
one thing I'm curious to know is how the sort of the side lines spurred off into the GT4s. Because obviously, hardcore 911 and a big GT4 fan, and that was amazing. I mean, how did that come about?
So it came out of, I'd say it came out of trying not to be a stickler about, I don't get the new cars and they don't appeal to me, and they're bigger and more safety nannies, and they're faster around the track and blah 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 and PDK. I think with that car, the way Porsche targeted it, they certainly made it appealing for people that had grown up with multiple 996, 997 GT3s, because it's got a very similar feel in terms of when you're in it, except for the engine, which isn't as spectacular. But it's the closest thing to that car in the 991 brand, until they obviously came out with the 991 GT3 Touring, in a manual. So at the time, that was what was, the most appealing new Porsche to me. And so I was like, I'll give it a shot and try it. And I've also had somewhat of a history with mid-engine cars. I've had, a bunch of Lotuses, as is James, and I had an NSX, and we even back in 2007 built a shop Cayman as well, like a 2006. That we built,
that,
and so and we built some Cayman R's, and we've done our usual stuff, which is a little more aero, a little less weight, lightweight flywheel, a bit more power, breathing, things like that, and they're really great weapons, I suppose. They're very balanced, very easy to drive. When I brought the car home from LA, when I picked it up, and I think it was 2016 now. I forget. I think it was 2016. It's been a while. And, I came back home, and I have a road that's, my mini Nürburgring, if you will, where there's no cars, not far from where I used to live. And I test cars. And I think you've been up the longer version of it, obviously up on the mountain.
Yes.
So Lee came out and did that. Yeah. Yeah. So I would do all the testing out there, and, so I took my wife out, and I let her drive it. And I said, this is going to be the last time. This is going to be the last time that you drive it when it's stock. So if you want to try it, she's like, okay. So she got in it, and within 2-3 minutes, I was finding myself grabbing the door handle, which was odd considering she was driving. And she was talking and driving at the same time, which was really unnerving. Driving fast. So I realized, you know what? She doesn't know how fast she's going, because it's so easy and so, just so predictable, and just you don't feel that sense of man, I'm really going fast like you do in a 911, hanging on the edge.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really great platform, and I thought it was smart of Porsche to, offer an alternative manual for the new car lineup. I mean, now obviously they brought it back for the GT3, but back then that was the only manual, so that's what we did. And then we partnered with some good people. We've long done limited slip differentials with guard, and that's always a weakness, so we can improve that. And I realized, again, it's an introduction of a model, and so there's a GT4. I sort of thought, what would Porsche do, or what I'd like to think, what would they do if they brought out an RS? Well, it would breathe a little better, have a bit more power, have a bit more response, lightweight flywheel, and a bit more aero, and shorter gears maybe, So that was the difference between the 997 GT3 and the 997 RS, or the 0.2s anyway. That was basically it. So we just applied Porsche's formula in our weird way. And, I'm sure there's some people that call them RSs, and I wouldn't dare call them that when we've done them, but they're just a bit more edgy and more like a GT3 RS feel.
I mean, I was very privileged to drive the Sharkwerks GT4 that you guys did, and I think for me, I just come away. Well, actually, take it back to a step. So when Porsche brought out the factory GT4, great concept, like the idea. Joe, you've had one, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I liked the car, but I just felt it lacked something, but particularly the chassis was brilliant. I think it was the engine was the thing for me, and the gearing. And I think what you guys did added an intensity, which is, I suppose, what you get from an RS anyway. But the Sharkwerks GT4, after stepping out of that, that's the defining word for me, was a new intensity brought to the drive. And just remember thinking, this to me is kind of the car that Porsche should have done or should have built with that concept. But as you say, as a company that mass produces cars, it's not always possible to do that.
And I'm not so sure that they should have done it, because there's, for example, the cars that I build, they're not for everyone. I mean, we share the same customers, yes, definitely, but there's a lot of people that wouldn't want vibration or noise. I know there's lots of stories of when the 997 GT3 RS came out, people would come and pick their cars up and 30 minutes later turn right round and drive back to the factory and say, there's something wrong with my car, there's all this noise and vibration, and so from the lightweight flywheel, because there's no dampening anymore, and it goes through the transmission, and they're like, no, your car's fine.
It's not broken.
Like no, it's not very good. And so I would just say there's plenty of people that have bought them and they like them stock, and they're a great platform. And like anything else, there's some of us that are a bit more edgy or crazy, or want they want more sound, or they want more not revability, but the ability to rev up and down quicker, and they want a bit more character and a bit more edge to it. And that's always been the case. Everyone buys a car, and the first thing we do is, well, not everyone, but everyone like us, wants a little bit more to eke out a little bit more somehow. So, but Porsche is going to sell to, a much wider audience. And I mean, I'm totally grateful that they make such amazing, cars. I mean, if, it's not like, I mean, one way to look at it is, we shouldn't be touching them at all because they're perfect or whatever. But the other way to look at it is, if they were Yugos, it would be really, really hard to do anything with them. Or not Skodas. Skodas do well in rally. So,
with that in mind, Alex, and what do you think makes a Sharkwerks car? How would you describe it?
I think it makes a bit more noise. Usually makes a bit more noise. I like them to rev quicker, up and down. I like them to feel edgier and a bit more, tugged in that department where you're just getting, when you lay into the throttle, you get a bit more out of it. But at the same time, I really appreciate what Porsche does as far as, compliancy and just reliability. And I really try hard not to take too much away from that on our cars, because we are a small place, and obviously things have to work, and they have to continue to work. And, we have said no to building cars for people before because, maybe somebody thinks they want something. So it's a very, unlike Porsche that sells to a dealership and many, many cars, they have to make a car that fits everyone that comes through there,
Yeah.
But, we're lucky we can be more selective about what we do and who we do it for.
Yeah.
But yeah, the car ends up being, just a little more spicy, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
So,
I mean, we just going back to like the early years of Sharkwerks. So as we said, Kermit really was kind of the poster boy or poster car for early Sharkwerks, the 997 Gen 1. We cannot do this podcast without talking about the Gen 2 car. Did it have a nickname? Does it have a nickname?
Yeah, well, it's had several when it wasn't functioning correctly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's had several, X-rated, R-rated words.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that is for me, without a doubt. But if someone says to me, go on, sorry.
We called it Bluefin. We called it Bluefin originally, I think.
Bluefin,
that's what we called it. Yeah,
very
we picked it up in Springfield, Illinois, from the dealer, and instead of a European tour, we did like a Route 66 delivery, if you will, and just kind of drove all through America in certain places where you probably wouldn't want to be driving a bright blue with orange wheels and two dudes in it. But
it was a brand new car at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a brand new car, but we had snowstorms, sandstorms, we had tornadoes. I don't know if the article's still up, but we sort of did a weird write up about it, and gave you a tour of Route 66 through America in one of those cars. But it performed great. And it didn't start breaking until we started working on it. So,
Well, at what point then, Alex, did you decide this is going to be a 4.1? Because you'd done the 3.9 step before, but this is new territory.
We actually had planned on doing something like that, possibly with the green car for a while.
Okay.
And, we talked with Todd and John as well, both at Evo at the time, and tried to figure out a way to, go a lot more into it and, change cranks and rods and, essentially, do a lot of machining work. And then, even though we were able to do it, it pushed things in the torque department and in the way it revved so far that, from pretty much from the get-go, which I think was probably 2012 or something when we did it, we started, maybe it was even, 2012 was when we started breaking it. But we started seeing, a lot of the problems that, a lot, it's not like there's a lot, but some of the track guys or people that have 4.0s had, issues crop up. So we started. Sorry, let me get rid of that. Apologies. I know. Apparently, work goes on. We started seeing some of the problems and failures because we pushed ours so hard. So whether it would be cam adjusters, oil pump gears, flywheels, coolant pipes, all that kind of stuff came as a result of pushing the car hard.
Yeah. Alex, was there any dialogue with Porsche at the time on that? Because I'm sure they'd have been interested to know.
Very little at the time.
Yeah.
Very little at the time. That came later. And, I was, I won't mention names and everything, but, later on, if I were in their shoes, I'd probably want to, stick a grenade launcher on us or something, or a potato masher or whatever they want to throw at me. But actually, I think after the fuss died down, and they were onto the new cars, they know that we share the same customers and that, we really do love these cars and the people too that own them. We like them, and, we might push them a bit here and there, and, sure, we've made mistakes. But I think they actually, sort of think on the one hand, they think it's kind of fun and I have an understanding with them, and pretty much an open thing where if they see something or they hear something that they don't like or that they think might, bring into how do I put, or damage their brand or even us, they have an open communication. Let's put it that way. So
yeah, I'm sure.
I think it was at one of the Ren Sports where, I think it was like the one in 2000. I forget.
15, was it?
14, 15
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Was it 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, that really sort of connected with them.
Well, they're funny you say that, because I remember seeing on your Sharkwerks Instagram page a picture of you with Mr. Andreas Preuninger, and I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that conversation. I mean, I'm sure it's extremely complimentary.
Yeah, it was really fun, actually. It was a really cool moment, and I've had several really good, helpful conversations with him, and I mean, just as much as, I mean, first of all, I'm a huge fan of the guy and the brand and the car, so for me it was a big deal in that sense.
Yeah.
And I even told him at the time, I'm like, I think one of the Porsche drivers was wearing my shirt with a 3.9 on it, and we turned him around, and then I put the thumbs down on there, and he put his thumbs up.
So very good.
So it's it was kind of cool. It was cool, but I mean, I think he loves that brand and the car, and he wants nothing more than for it to be thought of in a good way. So I've told them, if there's anything that you hear or see or think or can help us with, or make the overall experience better for the same customer, I'm all ears.
And, that's excellent. High praise indeed.
Yeah, I've had nothing but good things in my dealings with them. They've been really, really cool and helpful in a lot of ways, and things that, like, for example, for the new cars, there's things that I just won't do based on conversations that I had.
Yeah.
So,
fair play to you,
because I don't want to ruin their cars. After all, they built them, so we're just messing with them. So
I'm just curious to ask, like, in terms of pushing the boundaries, how far do you think you're sort of pushing cars before you then, and then the opposite to that, how far do you sort of rein them back in before they go into sort of a customer's car?
Yeah, that's a really big challenge, and the goalposts move all the time. Both, between myself, James, or Dan, or, people in general. I mean, on the one hand, I've got people going, "Oh, I want more," and you know better, or you think you know better, and then you're more conservative. I mean, I will say that I think we take a much more long-term approach to these now than back when we started. Just learning, and that is that, 10, 11 years later, if somebody goes to buy a 997 GT3 with our 3.9 engine, it's still running and it's still good, and that's what I want. Rather than, could we have gone any further with the 4.1? It's possible. Yeah, we definitely could have. But I know what the end results would be. There'd be, change the character of the car too much. It wouldn't rev as well, and probably break, sooner. So
I suppose there's a good reason why they rebuild a cup car engine so often, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're still at that point where, if we've built cars for people that have tracked them and campaigned them and stuff, but, I would never say that, just get a 4.1 or a 3.9 and it's a cheap cup car engine, because those do get rebuilt every 65 hours. I mean, the 3.9 engine is probably one that, it's definitely been raced for many seasons by different people in different countries. And, I'd definitely be more comfortable with that. But yeah, the 4.1 is about as far as I would want to go without, then compromising, I guess, reliability. Back in the day, like I told you, we learned from the turbo cars. It was very easy to go from 400 to 500 and to 600, and then hoses start coming off. Okay, no problem, we'll fix that. Then we need, better cooling, or, more fuel, or a better clutch. And then you start going, what's a better clutch? Well, it holds more, but it drives like, drives like something that, you look like you're just learning how to drive. People would stall and things like that. So then you have to start, growing up and rein it in, and it's a balancing act. Meanwhile, people are like, I want 1,000 horsepower. And, like, no, you don't understand. You can have 1,000 horsepower for probably a few minutes. And, not saying people can't build 1,000 horsepower reliably. They can, but I don't think you're going to use a very nice, clutch or supporting components. And of course, now everything's PDK as well, so there's a different thing. But,
1,000 horsepower car is doing one job, isn't it? And a 911 by its definition is meant to do several. It's the whole point of the car.
No, I mean, it's a battle for sure, and it's one of the questions and things like between on my side, I don't want to get calls every week going, I was driving along and then this hose flew off, or this happened, or that happened, or this broke, or so it's very hard to balance, how far to go and have supporting hardware that doesn't, that doesn't fail on us. Nobody's perfect, we do the, we try to rein it into a sensible level, and a usable level, I'd say. And then, I don't have the resources of Porsche as far as, torture testing. What I have is, the roads I have, Ralph, he'll torture a car to death.
The legend himself.
Which and and ourselves and our own small resources. But with time, we did not release the 4.1 for, I think it took us like 2+ years to do that. It wasn't like, oh look, we've got some parts, let's start building some cars. It was, we've got our engine spec'd out, let's push it, let's try it here, let's try it at the track, let's try it in 110 degrees, let's try it on hills, let's try it everywhere we can, and break as much stuff as we can in that 2-year period, and fix everything as we go.
Well, that's what I mean again.
Yeah, we learned a lot, and it was a lot of rebuilding, and a lot of figuring out, I guess, how to fix something that's a weak spot. That's what happens.
Do you find you chase the next weak spot? Yeah, once you sort of you crack on it, and then it finds the next weakest point to kind of let go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then something else happened. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's just like that. And some people are, some people sort of said, oh, if you're not breaking stuff, you're not trying hard enough, right? Mm-hmm. But when we do, like I said, we do try very hard, but we've also tried to be sensible. So it's not like we're out to break a car we buy, that's our own. But in the pursuit of trying to get more response, or more revs, or more torque, or things like that. We'll find some weaknesses, obviously.
Alex, when so say 2013, 14, wasn't it really, where prices of 911s went pretty crazy, and the GT cars kind of took on a whole new kind of level of regard, didn't they? How did that, if at all, affect what you guys do? Because people wanted to mothball these cars more now, didn't they?
Yeah. It's funny. We came out with what a lot of people were like, oh wow, this is amazing, this is fun, and then we're like, oh, we got no cars to build it on, because like you said, they got put in a bubble, and that was okay. We did it for ourselves, really, because that's how we would want a car, and that's what we wanted to do. We just wanted to do it for ourselves, and if people like it, they like it, and if they don't, that's okay. And we did not really build any for the first sort of it was a desert for like 2.5-3 years. We didn't build any. Yeah, we kept building 3.9s. And those I think were up to 28 or something like that of those, whether it be 997, 996,
Yeah. But like even, obviously the 997 Gen 2 RS is, for me and for Total 911 as a magazine, is a sweet spot, really. I mean, the generation generally in terms of the 911's lineage, but for the RS, it's a sweet spot. Yeah. And they are an absolute future classic, widely regarded, I think. And yet you guys, there's an RS 4.1 rolling around in the Netherlands now, isn't there, for example? So
there's our partners, they're called Twin Spark Racing.
Yes.
They, for a number of years, they've sold, like our exhausts and stuff in Europe. And it was fun. It was a fun project. They have a really cool, green one. We were going to do one for someone in Hong Kong. That's a little bit, of a problem area in more ways than one at the moment. And we've got other ones around the country now, and people are starting to, we've got one coming from Seattle that we're doing on a Gen 1 RS, and that was a decision we took, after doing routes on a Gen 1, because originally we were just going to do it on Gen 2s. But now we're doing it on those as well. So as long as it comes with a proper LSD that we put in there for safety, because the Gen 1 cars are a bit more raw. They don't have the stability management that the Gen 2s have. It's good for Ralph. It keeps him on his toes.
I'm sure it does.
With a Gen 1,
Test driver extraordinaire.
Yeah, no. And I think, I don't think we'd ever want to do, we've turned down a few requests to do it on a 996 GT3, but we have done, we've done 3.9s on GT3s before. Yeah. So, and in fact, one of James's best friends bought our old 996 GT3 development car with a 3.9 in it. So he has that now in Canada. I regret selling that car. Those are another fun, diamond in the rough, like to most people, they're just like, oh, it's just another Carrera with a shopping cart wing on it.
I completely agree with you on that. We've got a lot of love for those cars on this podcast.
I know. You just got to put like a little Safeway sticker on the back or something. Then you're set.
What, Alex? What do you think is the future of Sharkwerks then? Because I know you guys have gone into the 964 program, haven't you?
Yeah. So the future is the cars we like to drive and that have feel. The new cars are technically advanced, brilliant, so fast. There probably isn't very much we could do to them anyway, other than, exhaust and a couple of bolt-ons here and there.
That's 991 onwards, isn't it?
Yeah, 991 onwards. And, we do that, we add little things to those, and continue to do so. But as far as getting, deep down into them, the 964 is a fun platform that, it got a little bit expensive, but you can buy a $60,000 to $80,000 964. This is all as of last month, I'd say, and then very easily you turn around, and by the time you've done the engine, transmission, suspension, brakes, wheels, a little bit of aero, and you're like, where did that $100,000 go?
But that's the thing. It's 964 RS territory financially, but it's a car that you're not afraid to use, and that's the key difference.
Yeah,
there.
You're not afraid to use, and you've driven those RSs, and they're obviously they're brilliant. They're just from an era where but they were designed to be on a flat track, basically, or a flatter track.
Yeah.
So for the roads that I go on, I would never dream of taking a 964 RS because they're just all over the road and very, very stiff and bouncy and, just not fun. They're more for a track for sure. They're not sort of, canyon carving cars, I would say.
Yeah.
Unless you're incredibly wealthy and brave.
Yeah, in equal measures. It's interesting when you said you want to work with cars that appeal. It was interesting in there that you didn't kind of pigeonhole it into a certain era of 911 or a certain like model of Porsche, or Porsche at all, actually. But I'm sure that's where you'll stay. So.
No, it's definitely going to stay. It's definitely going to stay Porsche. I mean, we've put in so much time on the 996s and 997s, especially GT3s. That's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
I do like the GT4 platform. We continue to do that. But I think that, the real driver collector car is not sort of cars that someone owns for 2-3 years and then, replaces with a brand new one, is the 997 GT3 and the 964 as well, because you don't buy or drive that car because it's the fastest. You just like the way it feels. Usually that's what people are buying it for, at least these days. And they're always going to need some, people drive them. They're going to need some, refreshing or given some more edge, something like that. So,
just an interesting aside. Is there anything that you can share with us that might be going on from a parts or a project perspective in the sort of secret lab, so to speak? Is there anything going on behind the scenes?
So, I haven't pinpointed what it is yet. To be honest, myself, like I know we should have a roadmap and everything, and it seems like we're going, sticking to our roots more than doing anything new. But I mean, there might be something from Porsche that comes out that really does grab us by the ankles or whatever, and we run with it. But I think it's more a case of sticking with what we know and maybe, expanding on that. I mean, there might be some more stuff we do on the 4.1s. I mean, for example, I don't think you didn't get to drive it, Lee, when we had our new gears in there.
No.
But so I have some new gears for that. So we're doing, the current 4.1s and 3.9s, they have an option for, close ratio, shorter gears, which again, improve acceleration. I think we'll probably keep maybe rejuvenating what we've done on the 4.1. I think that we're going to, definitely have some kind of crazy engine for a 964 that we like at some point.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but but beyond that, I mean, no, we're not branching off into Panameras or Macans or certainly not Ferraris or anything with an engine that in the wrong place.
No, very good.
No Taycans for you then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, no, the Taycan would be really, really fun. I mean, that would be, we all at the shop, we all have long had electric cars and weird cars for many years. I mean, I think James had an electric car. First one he had, believe it or not, was I think it was a Thunder Ranch, which is like a replica, Porsche Spider, like kind of like Beck makes. Yeah, he had one of those, and it was electric. I remember that. It only had a range of about 20 miles. I think he got it in like 2006 or something like that.
Oh, well ahead of
and then in 2000, yeah, it was pretty funny. It was really fast too, obviously.
Yeah.
For about 20 miles maybe. And then that was it. Yeah, it had I think about 24 Odyssey batteries in it. So it was a little heavier than a normal one, but it did go.
Yeah, and all the way to slow down, I suppose.
So what's your electric car of choice then? I know it's a bit of an oddball question.
There's a few. So if you're in the city, all of us at the shop have little electric smart cars. Those are cool for just parking, running errands, and going from home and back if you live close.
Big fan of the smart. That's a good choice.
Yeah, I think it's a fun little, it's really, really, useful and easy to sort of, put in any kind of situation other than, obviously going cross country. But for the most part, it's a great little runner. And I mean, most of us have Teslas as well, or Chevy Bolts. I mean, when you live in an area that the average speed of traffic is 5 to 10 miles an hour, you got to go with what you got to go with something that's smart and useful and cuts stress and improves your life. So I mean, we can run our 4.1s in that kind of traffic, but why bother?
Yeah, no, exactly that. Save that for the canyon.
Yeah, save
carving.
that for the fun roads. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Alex.
But I mean,
go on,
Taycan. I haven't driven one other than being a passenger, but I mean, Lee would probably know a lot more, right? I mean, you're probably impressed by that, right?
I've not really been near the car, to be honest. There was one in our local Porsche dealership today that I managed to have a look around, but yeah, that's it. It's still a bit of an unknown quantity to me, really.
I mean, I know it's a performer in terms of the on paper and stuff. So
yeah, 2.5 ton car though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's pretty heavy.
It's a heavy old thing, then.
Yeah. They're the fully spec'd out ones. I think 200 grand over here, right?
Oh, that's savage. Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah, no, it's a beast. Alex, we really appreciate your time to run
pleasure,
over what you do. You guys do an absolutely fantastic job, and
thanks, man.
I've great pride in saying the best car I've ever driven is a Sharkwerks 4.1.
Thanks, man.
It's kind of tied at the top between Ralph's GT3 and the blue 4.1
the blue one.
RS as well. You guys do a great job.
Oh, thanks, man. When you come back, we've upped the ante in my blue one, so it's got more edge now with the short gears. So
wow. See that the concept of that blows my mind, to be honest, because that really is. Yeah, honestly, we'll be doing that as soon as we're out of this.
Yeah, as soon as this
thing
shenanigans
lifts.
is over, huh?
We'll do podcast number 2 in your shop then. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. I'll send you guys a picture of where I'm sitting right now. I've got a 996 GT3 in here. A 3.8 964, my red one, and my blue car, and then there's a Barracuda, as it's known, or a Cuda.
That might be the single best quarantine destination on the planet, right, I think, to be honest with you.
That's right. So no, I'll send you guys a picture.
Indeed.
No,
awesome.
and you guys stay well, huh?
So, Alex, what we normally finish up with is a very, very quick 10-question quick fire round. Okay. So no thinking, right. Just straight off the top of your head.
Just straight. Yeah. Okay.
Are you ready?
I'll try no F words.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Question number 1: air or water?
Water.
Number 2: favorite Porsche model?
911 GT3 RS 3.8.
Choice. And number 3, favorite Porsche color?
Riviera blue.
Like it. Number 4, ultimate Porsche icon.
As in person or car?
Person.
Good old Walter Roll.
Excellent. Yeah.
Love it. Number 5, favorite track?
Thunderhill.
Number 6, Tafouche or not Tafouche in reference to our classic wheels?
Oh.
Dig them or
not? I 50-50 no. So 49 no, 51 yeah. Sorry, yeah.
First person to decline.
51 no. Yeah.
I think this is an obvious one, but number 7 is stock or hot rod?
Hot rod.
Number 8, narrow body or wide body?
Wide body.
Yeah. Number 9, cars and coffee or a track day?
Neither. I'd rather go out on my own.
Quality.
Like it.
Self-isolation.
And number 10, just to finish up, this is more for Lee's benefit because it's an ongoing jibe. Is the Cayman a real Porsche?
Yeah.
He's going to say that, isn't he? Yeah.
Has to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, it is. It's. I actually, just to expand on it, I wish though that Porsche would make a super lightweight mid-engine car, more from, I guess 914 sort of era,
definitely.
Something lightweight. That would be more fun, I think.
That'd be an amazing driver's car, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really would.
Yeah. Something doesn't have to have super, massive power or anything, just lightweight. But I know it's hard. I mean, I'm sure they probably wish they could too, but today's standards, they probably can't do something that's light and a tin can or whatever. And
well, this is it in this day and age as well, like define a lightweight car, isn't it? So
yeah, no, well, we have a James and I own a Lotus Europa.
Excellent.
That's a lightweight car, but it's made out of paper mache. So.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to crash in it. You're flying the flag, Alex.
Yeah, exactly. You want to do much more than fly a flag in it.
Well, like I say, we are really grateful of your time. So thank you for supporting the podcast.
I'm really grateful that. One of the things that's cool to me is, obviously I was born and raised and lived and educated and everything in the UK, and it's really cool that I've even got anyone buying our stuff there or any it's very warm and fuzzy thinking that anyone in the UK gives an eighth of a crap about what we do over here in the US. So.
we're trying our best,
even with a British flavor. So
brilliant. All right,
grab a Twix, right?
Alex, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
A pleasure, you guys. You guys take care. Stay safe.
Thanks, Alex. Great to talk to you.
Cheers, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
You too,
okay.
Mate. Yeah, sounds
See you later, mate. Bye.
All right. Okay. Bye. Cheers.